I think that sense of cohesiveness that African American History Month can bring is really important, especially in terms of mental health, just because it brings with it like this sense of validation and normalization, and like even in schools, just being able to see role models and African American people who've really made a change through our history. I think that part is really important.
And in terms of racial trauma, you have an understanding with your community that you're connected by that, with that racial trauma.
Speaking of racial trauma, I think it's important to define it. So there are a bunch of different definitions, but this is one that we're going to go off of. So racial trauma may result from racial harassment, witnessing racial violence, or experiencing institutional racism. The trauma may result in experiencing symptoms of depression, anxiety, low self-esteem, feelings of humiliation, poor concentration, or irritability.
With Black people in particular, the racial trauma is something that you innately have once you're born and come into this society in America. Once you learn the history about what your people have been through, then it already clicks into place and connects to everything that's going to happen to you as a Black person in America.
Mm-hmm. I think it's important to think about like the emotional stress that can cause. Like think about growing up and reading the news and watching different kinds of media outlets talking about police brutality and things like that, and just growing up being afraid.
These instances of stress that we might have in terms of racism that's really connected to a society that we can't avoid because we're in it. Like what would one do?
And so I think you bring up a good point, and because of that, it's really important to engage in self-care. And so there's a number of different ways you can do that. Something I think it's really important is trying to really incorporate physical activity into your kind of schedule. I don't think you have to like go hard at the gym or anything like that, but just there's a whole bunch of research out there that shows how like physical activity can be really helpful when it comes to mental health.
Yeah, releasing energy. You know.
I think another thing you can practice is trying to stay close to like your communities or those who are affected by the racial trauma, where you feel included or like you belong.
Another good thing to do is to be mindful of that healthy cultural suspicion, like being conscious of white supremacy and just to follow your gut. Always listen to your gut.
Yeah, that healthy suspicion has helped people of color survive systems of oppression.
Also, acknowledge those feelings that injustice like invokes in you. Like it's okay to be angry. That's all a part of the process and a part of being a human being, you know?
You know, our communities might give us messages that it's not okay to be angry. I think we even get afraid of like, oh, white people are going to think we're the stereotypical angry person of color. But I think we need to honor those feelings because where else are they going to go? We can't just bottle them up.
Yeah. Help out, you know, and be a support system as well. Like you talk about your feelings, but also let someone talk to you.
There's always more to discuss. Join us next week on Why Not Both, where we talk about the myth that counseling is just for white people.